We're here with Manju Mude. Really pleased for you to be taking part in this kind of Q&A for Women's International Day and Week. Really excited to run through some questions and pick your brain on some core questions and really kind of, understand kind of your career today and kind of run through some of potentially some of your challenges and some areas where you've really kind of flown within cybersecurity. So thank you for joining us. It'd be great if you could just give some of the listeners and watchers just a quick intro to your career to date, and as an introduction.
Sure, yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Manju Mude. I am Security Director at Verizon Media in a team called the Paranoids, a very fun, awesome group that handles security for Verizon Media. And I've known Tom for a bit, and we are excited to get started here. In terms of where I come from, I actually started my career in state government, and then I went into banking and Big Four. And then I migrated a little bit into the tech space, and here I am today. So it's been a good 20 plus year journey. It's been a fun ride.
Awesome. Well, we were able to catch up before this call. We've known each other for a couple of years now, and probably going on to two or three. And we're just kind of catching up. And as you can tell, I'm really excited to have you on this and ask you some questions. So kind of straight out the gates, if that's okay, Manju, I guess what has been the career path to where you are now for people that don't know you?
Sure. I, always was interested in cybersecurity in some way, or whether it was security or military or gov or something of that nature. But I also had a different side to me. I had a part of my education, my undergraduate degree is in art, actually.
Oh,
So
okay.
I like to mix the right brain and left brain stuff. So throughout the time in my career journey, I've gotten chances to mix both sides of my identity. Um, in terms of where I am right now, like I said, I'm at Verizon Media and in a large security team. I've been a part of small security teams, large security teams that stayed mobile, traveled all over the place, and worked in a couple different states and countries. So it's, I guess, staying flexible was the biggest part of it.
Very cool. Yeah, thank you for that. I didn't know that was your undergrad. That's really cool. So I guess segue to that question then. So at what point did you realize that you wanted to go into cybersecurity?
Yeah. Then, after my undergrad, I did do a technical master's, and that time, the 90s, they didn't really have a cybersecurity specialty. And so I kind of had to create my own research projects, and my professors didn't know what to do with me. But here I am. And I decided to go into cybersecurity partly because it was just a very interesting field. As you can imagine, late 90s, early 2000s, it wasn't necessarily a chosen career path. But I was actually working in cybersecurity for the government before 9/11. And then 9/11 happened. And then the whole concept of security in all different angles, including cyber, really took off. And way more interesting today than it used to be, and more accessible. So I want to keep the access going for all sorts of inclusion into the cybersecurity space.
Very cool. Very cool. So throughout your career, you've like touched so many different areas of the security life cycle. And I suppose like kind of you're pretty well rounded from being a security professional. So looking back now, like what professional advice would you give to a younger self, knowing kind of what you do know now?
Yeah, I've worked for a bunch of big companies, and you start climbing up the ladder, and you start out maybe at a lower level, and then you grow in your career. One of the things that I think I would have told myself is to not hold back and not be shy. Break a couple rules. It's okay. There's that in today's world, we're used to having skip levels, or you can approach your executives or VPs, but there's certain industries and companies where that's not always the status quo. I would say go challenge yourself. I mean, if I had to tell myself something, I would say it's okay to forge those relationships. It's okay to be known by your technology leaders and your security leaders, and you don't have to kind of stay in your bubble and only work on your projects. You can ask for other things and raise your hand when you're interested in something else.
Yeah, no, I love that. It came up actually in a debate or discussion recently around kind of that kind of change in mentality, because like, I don't know, financial services is so highly regulated that you don't always kind of, everyone has their role and responsibilities.
Mhm.
And so people are too scared to go up a rank, and kind of, it should really be idea over rank. But some companies are still evolving in that kind of way. But yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that answer. I feel it's a really good one. So break the rules is what you're trying to
Break
say.
the rules and let's get rid of hierarchy.
Yeah, no, I love that. I'm a big advocate of that for sure. This is maybe a little bit loaded, but you and I met kind of many moons ago through networking and through different agendas that we're kind of both invested and involved in. And I think I've seen you you're always a happy and familiar face at events like B-Sides, Day of Security, to name a few. But what I wanted to ask you is, outside of work, what do you feel has kind of helped you in your career?
hmm I think that you touched on it exactly, Tom. Being involved in the community and being involved in conferences and meetups and all of those types of things is exactly what's going to open up those opportunities and also elevate your own knowledge in the space. I used to be very committed to going to meetups, cybersecurity meetups, for a lot of my career because it was a great way to meet people and even know things or get into areas where that might not be your immediate scope.
Yeah,
There's all sorts of things like OWASP meetups, security culture meetups. There's all these different meetups based on the geography that you're in. And I would say go to those. They're really helpful, as well as the big conferences. And the second piece of advice is probably going and presenting at a conference. It's really scary to put in a call for papers or put your proposal in, and sometimes you just don't know how to get it done. But after you break through those first couple ones, it's really you'll get the hang of it, and you'll be picked, and you'll be chosen to be up there. And it'll really help you get better in your own self-esteem as well as meet more members of the community. So I highly recommend that.
very, very cool. Yeah. And like, it's so scary seeing people go through that journey. And I've done some like low level kind of talks at certain like OWASP and other events. But it is really, really scary. So I guess your advice is, don't be afraid to do it. Put in your call for papers. And then
Yeah.
like you said earlier, like not be scared to kind of break the rules or break the boundaries and push yourself professionally to do those types of talks.
You just have to fight through the fear and
Yeah, yeah.
put your name in for this couple of these things. And a lot of security people have amazing ideas, and we need more of those ideas out there because that's how you change the trend in the industry, and that's how you start intersecting paths that formerly weren't intersected.
Yeah, no, I agree entirely. Also, like, I've spoke to many people that's like, well, I just don't think I'm interesting enough, or I don't think that kind of my discussion point is kind of exciting to people that have been in application security or cloud security for 10 plus years. Well, but the real truth is, like, if you've got expertise or if you've got knowledge around a certain kind of domain, kind of, there's going to be people that are on the start of their career journey. They're going to be
Mhm.
absolutely fascinated by that. So yeah, I also agree with you there that like, it's about just getting yourself out there and getting your kind of voice heard, whatever that is. If that's kind of on AppSec penetration testing, we were talking about bug bounty before this call and kind of interesting ways to kind of hire, but it's so true. Just by putting yourself out there.
Yep.
Good stuff. And last question, I've been trying to ask everybody that I'm doing this kind of session with for the next week is, who is somebody that's motivated or inspired you throughout your career?
Well, I've had a couple good inspirational folks throughout my career. One of my college professors was really inspirational to me. He told me about journeys he's been through, and he came from a very underserved population, kind of self-taught, climbed through the ranks, and he ended up being dean of the university. And so that was a real inspiration to me. He would tell me stories about how he rode the train 4 hours every day just to get to school in New York City and things like that, by himself as an 8-year-old boy. And I was really inspired by some of those stories because it shows that perseverance. And the other things is, I don't actually think we need necessarily big characters to inspire us. Sometimes it's the little stories that inspire us. Sometimes it's listening to the stories of women who have fought their way to be in cybersecurity or in tech, whose maybe families didn't support them and they didn't have the economics to support them, and they got there by their own accord. So, and learning the ropes by themselves and saving up, and those types of stories are actually very inspirational to me. And I look up to some of my mentees as inspiration rather than looking and always searching for a mentor. Sometimes that mentor-mentee relationship is interchangeable.
I love that. That's a really nice kind of way of approaching it as well. Yeah, learning from your mentees, especially on the journey as well. Like people are, especially kind of like knowing what you know and the experience that you've got, knowing where you're at in your career, to see the perseverance and the struggle kind of is really inspiring, isn't it? So. Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really, really enjoyed that session, and I'm very hopeful that kind of this is going to be inspirational to other people out there. But yeah, thank you for your time, and great to have you on this.
Thanks, Tom. Look forward to it. Bye.